The Galactic Academy's Xenobiology lecture hall buzzed with the chittering, clicking, and warbling of 200 alien students. At the back of the auditorium, Hazel sat quietly, her brown eyes scanning through her datapad, while her classmates discussed the day's assignment with barely concealed anxiety. "Impossible," hissed a Crovenian whose scaled hide shimmered with nervous energy. "Professor Zalmuth wants us to approach a wounded Vornak beast. They're classified as Class 5 predators. Tranquilizers are the only logical approach," agreed Melisandre, her crystalline form refracting the lecture hall's bioluminescent lighting. "No sentient being would be foolish enough to approach one of those creatures while conscious." Leo, sitting beside Hazel, said nothing. His fingers drummed thoughtfully against the desktop, a habit Hazel had noticed whenever he was deep in thought. The other students had learned to ignore the two humans in their cohort. Was a recent addition to the galactic community, and most species viewed humans as peculiarly soft-hearted beings, ill-suited for the rigorous demands of xenobiology. "I heard humans actually kept predators in their dwelling spaces," snickered Vexenar, his mandibles clicking with amusement. "Creatures called dogs and cats, probably declawed and defanged, no doubt." Several students joined in the laughter. Hazel felt Leo tense beside her, but he remained silent. It wasn't the first time they'd been mocked, and it wouldn't be the last. Professor Zalmuth entered his 6 legs carrying his centauroid body with practiced grace. "Students, today you will demonstrate your ability to handle a distressed Xenofauna specimen. In the practical arena, we have a Vornak beast with a wounded forelimb. Your task, assess and treat the injury. You may use any tools or methods at your disposal. Who volunteers first?" The lecture hall fell silent. Even the most boastful students suddenly found their datapads fascinating. "I'll go," Leo said quietly, standing up. The murmurs started immediately. Zrathic's scales rippled with what Hazel recognized as the Crovenian equivalent of laughter. "The human volunteers. Should we prepare the medical bay for him?" "Professor, humanity's kindness will be his undoing," Melisandre chimed in. "Vornak beasts don't understand compassion, dominance and submission." Professor Zalmuth's optical clusters focused on Leo. "You understand the risk. Vornak beasts have been known to disembowel fully armored Crovenian warriors." "I understand," Professor Leo replied, his voice steady. The class filed into the observation deck, overlooking the practical arena reinforced enclosure designed to contain even the most dangerous specimens. Through the transparent aluminum barrier, they could see the Vornak beast, a creature the size of an earth grizzly, covered in matte black chitin, with 6 limbs ending in razor-sharp talons. Its triangular head featured multiple rows of crystalline teeth, and its tail tipped with a bone, clashed back and forth in obvious agitation. The beast's front right limb was clearly injured, trapped awkwardly beneath its body. Dark ichor seeped from a wound near its shoulder joint. "This should be entertaining," Vexenar whispered loudly. "How long before it tears him apart?" "I give it 30 seconds. Hazel pressed her hand against the glass, her heart pounding. She trusted Leo had seen his way with animals back on Earth, but a Vornak beast was something else entirely. Leo entered the arena through the reinforced door, carrying nothing but a standard medical kit. No tranquilizer gun, no protective armor, no neural pacifier. The door sealed behind him with an ominous hiss. The Vornak beast's head snapped toward him immediately. Its optical organs, 4 clusters of photoreceptors arranged in a diamond pattern fixed on the human. A low, rumbling growl emanated from somewhere deep in its thorax, and the students in the observation deck instinctively stepped back, despite the barrier between them. "Foolish," muttered Professor Zalmuth, though Hazel noticed his manipulator appendages were poised over the emergency extraction control. Leo didn't advance. Instead, he slowly lowered himself to the ground, sitting cross-legged about 10 meters from the beast. He placed the medical kit beside him, then simply waited. "What is he doing?" Zrathic demanded. "This is absurd." Minutes passed. The Vornak beast continued its warning growl, but Leo remained motionless, his posture non-threatening, his gaze averted from the creature's eyes, not in submission, but in respect. He began to hum, a low melodic sound that seemed to puzzle the alien observers. Slowly, incrementally, the beast's growling subsided. Its tail lashing became less aggressive. After nearly 15 minutes, an eternity to the watching students, the creature's posture shifted. The aggressive arch in its spine relaxed slightly. Leo opened the medical kit, moving with deliberate slowness. He withdrew bandages, antiseptic solution, and a small scanning device. He held each item up briefly, as if showing the beasts that he meant no harm, then placed them on the ground in front of him. Then he began to inch forward, not toward the beast directly, but at an angle, moving in a gradual spiral that would eventually bring him closer, without triggering a frontal assault response. Impossible, breathed Melisandre. Vornak beasts don't have the cognitive capacity for this kind of interaction. But Hazel knew better. She'd seen Leo with injured wildlife back on Earth. The patience, the respect, the understanding that fear often manifested as aggression. It took another 20 minutes, but eventually Leo was within arm's reach of the wounded limb. The Vornak beast watched him with all 4 optical clusters, its body tense but no longer radiating pure hostility. Leo reached out slowly, his movements telegraphed and gentle, and touched the creature's uninjured shoulder a point away from the wound. A gesture of connection before treatment. The beast flinched but didn't strike. Leo examined the wound with the scanner, then began to clean it with antiseptic. The creature whimpered a sound that shocked the observers, who'd never heard a Vornak beast make anything other than aggressive vocalizations. As Leo worked, he continued his soft humming, occasionally murmuring in that soothing tone humans seem to naturally adopt with injured creatures. When he wrapped the bandage around the limb, securing it with practiced efficiency, the Vornak beast did something unprecedented. It lowered its massive head and pressed its forehead ridge gently against Leo's shoulder. The observation deck erupted in shocked exclamations. Leo carefully extracted himself, leaving the medical supplies nearby, and backed away using the same patient, spiraling approach. When he reached the exit door, he gave the beast a small nadir gesture of respect between equals and left the arena. The silence in the lecture hall was deafening as Leo rejoined the other students. Professor Zalmuth's optical clusters whirred as they refocused. Human Leo, explain your methodology. Compassion isn't weakness, Professor, Leo said quietly, his eyes meeting those of his previously mocking classmates. And kindness isn't foolishness. That creature was in pain and afraid. It didn't need dominance or drugs, it needed to understand that I wasn't a threat, that I wanted to help. Every creature, regardless of species or danger classification, understands gentleness when it's offered honestly. Estrathic's scales had paled to a light gray. Vexenar's mandibles hung open in shock. Even Melisandre's usual confident glow had dimmed. Perhaps, Professor Zalmuth said slowly, his voice carrying a new note of respect. There is much the galactic community can learn from humanity after all. Class dismissed except you. I believe we have much to discuss about teaching methodologies. As the students filed out, Hazel caught Leo's eye and smiled. He grinned back, and in that moment, she knew that their classmates would never again mistake human kindness for weakness. The lesson, after all, had been taught not through dominance or technology, but through the oldest human wisdom, that strength without compassion is brutality, and that sometimes the bravest thing one can do is choose gentleness in the face of fear.